Now, I want to caveat that. We don't have access to every bit of information that he's been given or every conversation that he's had. And I'm going to be very careful here not getting into too much more detail on this. But I've seen these press reports attributed to a U.S. official, and we would concur with the basic finding. But I'm not going to get any more specific than that. Okay, Court.
Can you talk, I just want to be clear on the repositioning, the 20%, you're not saying that all of those have gone to Belarus, and if not...
I'd say less than 20%.
Less than 20%. Less than 20% of what's been arrayed around Kyiv has now moved out. But all of those... Has now been they've started to reposition. I don't know that I'd say all of them moved out. We've seen them begin to reposition less than 20%, our assessment, on today. And we think some of them, not all, but some of them have already moved into Belarus. What do you mean by reposition then? Are they're moving further away from Kyiv?
Yeah.
Like how?
Yeah, they're leaving. They're leaving Kyiv and heading more towards the north. Yeah, away from the city.
And are they continuing as they're moving away? Are they continuing to launch attacks on the city? I mean, are they launching artillery from further away still? I mean, what would you characterize that?
No, I think the troops that we're seeing move away, that's their focus, is moving away. But we still assess, as we did yesterday, that Kyiv is still being attacked by bombardment, artillery fire, as well as airstrikes. There's still, as I said yesterday, I mean, there's still a majority of the forces that Mr. Putin put around Kyiv are still there. Now, as I said a couple of days ago, they're largely in defensive positions. We several days ago stopped seeing any advancement on their part. They weren't moving closer to the city. From a ground effort, there was no more advancing on Kyiv, but the airstrikes have not stopped, not at all. So Kyiv, as I said yesterday, is still very much under threat.
Had you said how many total BTGs there were around Kyiv before?
We never actually gave a number of the total, and I want to be careful about that. But again, our best assessment is less than 20% over the last 24 hours now. We've seen to start to reposition. And I want to hit it again because I think it's an important point. If the Russians were really serious about de-escalating and the way they spun this yesterday, that they're trying to take the pressure off, well, then send them home. And that's not what they're doing, at least not yet. David?
So just to be clear on what troops you're talking about here, they were basically...
All right, we want to go from there to the White House. Kate Bedingfield speaking. We'll listen into questions there.
On Russia.
And on the intelligence, is your expectation that releasing this information are you hoping that it changes Putin's calculus or the military's calculus as they approach these things?
That is not our intent. Our intent is simply to make the information available so that there is a full understanding of what kind of strategic blunder this has been for Russia and for the Russian people.
And is there any more that you can share just about, whether this is an assessment that you're extremely confident in? I know, typically there's a range of views among analysts across the intelligence agencies about how solid information is. Is there anything you can tell us about how solid this is and what is underlying this that gives you the confidence that this is the right reading?
Well, I can't speak more specifically to the intelligence because we obviously do not do anything to compromise sources or methods. I will simply say we have made it public and allow you to draw a conclusion from that.
Thank you.
So does the U.S. believe that Putin is now fully aware of the misinformation, that he now has a clear picture of Russia's military operations and how badly it is performing?
Well, again, I would just say that we obviously have information, which we have now made public, that he felt misled by the Russian military. We believe he's being misinformed by his advisors about how badly the Russian military is performing and how the Russian economy is being crippled by sanctions because, again, his senior advisors are too afraid to tell him the truth. Beyond that, I can't characterize any further than that.
Are there any examples that you might be able to offer us other than Putin not knowing initially that his military was using and losing conscripts in Ukraine that show how Putin was potentially being misinformed by his advisors?
I don't have any detail beyond what we've made public already.
One more. U.S. officials have obviously been saying since yesterday that the U.S. is not going to be fooled by Russian claims about a withdrawal from Ukraine. until you all see it happen on the ground. Does President Zelensky share in that skepticism?
I'm sorry, I apologize. Ask that one more time.
You all have been saying that you're not going to be fooled by Russia's assessment or promises that it is going to start withdrawing and start pulling back on military attacks in Ukraine. Wondering if President Zelensky, since he spoke with President Biden, does he share in that assessment?
Well, I won't characterize President Zelensky's thinking, but I will say that we continue to see evidence today of Russia attacking, advancing, attacking in places where they had previously said they would not. So I think that is self-evident, and obviously we continue to do everything we can to flow assistance, security assistance to the Ukrainians.